World's most powerful nations are once again competing for influence in Africa. From establishing diplomatic ties and military bases, the major powers are working to strengthen ties with African countries. But how can Africa position itself in order to benefit from this renewed interest? CGTN's Enoch Sokolia takes a look.
Africa suddenly finds itself in the spotlight of increased diplomatic attention. More and more countries are embarking on an intensive diplomatic offensive to win over countries on the continent. Those who understand African affairs say outsiders have noticed that the continent is important, not least because of its growing share of the global population.
The minerals, Congo has all the minerals you need, uranium, cobalt, it's available there. And wood also from that Congo. So that's the crown of South Africa. Then the labor. Africa, there's a lot of labor, and which gives an opportunity for investment.
So guys, you see that? All the big economies in the world rushing if you grab a piece of Africa, but because Africa is in demand right now. So you see, when recently, 2 days ago, when America passed this law, they want to sanction and punish African countries that cooperate with Russia. This is the reason why, because they have so they are being so sneaky, because they signed a military agreement with Ghana like a couple of weeks ago, right? And they are meeting the Zimbabwe president, the South African president, America, the Secretary of State. It's flying all over Africa, meeting different presidents, trying to sign an agreement, but they're not doing it. Germany, again, they meet the same countries, other countries that America met. South Africa, Zimbabwe, Ghana, Nigeria, all the big emerging economies. You know, Russia and China is already there. Israel trying to, because Saturday over the weekend, the African Union had a summit, and Israel forced their way in and they get put out by security because they wasn't invited. They can only observe, but they had lose their observer invitation and they get put out. So everybody is rushing for a piece of Africa. I remember, as the guy said, cobalt, uranium, aluminum, iron, gold, diamonds. Think of it, Africa has it. So everybody wants a piece of it, especially Congo has the most natural resources on the planet, right? So everybody wants a piece of it. So they are sucking up to Africa now, but I hope, and I know you have a lot of African country presidents right now that's not greedy, that's not corrupt, that actually want to see the continent do good, like Rwanda president, Zimbabwe president, South Africa, Ghana, Nigeria. Now, well, Nigeria is doing an election now. I think in a couple of days they're gonna have an election, so we'll see who comes out. And I don't know who's gonna win, so we'll see. We want to see how that goes. The Congo, Nairobi, a couple of them going on. There's 55 countries on the continent of Africa, and all of them is in the all of them is in the African Union, which is the AU. Over the weekend, 45 of them signed trade agreements to trade within Africa amongst themselves. So right now they're trying to iron out a few of the kinks here and there. But imagine that. And Africa is a $3.9 trillion economy right now, presently, and growing, right? So that's why everybody wants a piece of Africa, because Africa is a place to be. So I'm telling all African Americans, Afro-Caribbean diasporas, please try yourself to go to the continent and invest, because right now it's ripe for investment right now. Ghana, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, it's so dear for invest, and you can get rich like that. You don't have to worry about racism. Not like that. You have to put in the work and invest and make smart decisions. Don't be going over there just throwing the money around. Yeah. So yeah, me myself, I'm gonna try to see if I can go over there and try to see what investment I can get myself involved into sooner, before the year is out. So let's continue with this video.
For example, if you come with investment in technology, like on telephone, use of social media, the African population is young and they're getting into it, so it's into new technology. So it's an opportunity for better investments.
Governments and companies from all over the world are hurriedly bolstering their commercial, strategic and diplomatic relations with the continent. According to experts, this creates vast opportunities. They argue that if Africa handles the new scramble wisely, the main winners will be Africans themselves.
The first one is the idea that Africans are looking for diverse partnerships, not just away from the colonial partners, but also finding alternative ways to explore what it means to be a continent and to take advantage of it.
Foreign engagement with the continent has expanded rapidly.
Okay, so again, as the guy was saying, right now, because that's why all I'm saying now with the recently signed trade agreement between the 45 countries in Africa, which is in the AU, if they can stand together, right, fully, and actually, me personally, I want these countries to invest in Africa, but we have to get like a 80-20 split, 70-30. We get 70% of the whatever we sign trade have to go towards Africa, and then 30% can go, or 20% can go to the person who is trying to invest in Africa. That's what I believe in. We want investment, but not bad investment, as in they try to trick us or try to steal our resources. Because again, Ghana, Zimbabwe, and I'm talking about what I know about, because I've read about it and I've done some research. And they ban the export of all ore of those countries: gold, iron, aluminum, they even cocoa, and they even ban the import of certain products like oil, rice, and stuff like that. They want to trade within Africa with food stuff. Africa is full of food stuff like that. The problem is the difficulty of the cross border. They don't have free border where a person can, for instance, from Zimbabwe can cross over to Ghana freely without having to go through some hiccup. But that's what they're trying to fix now, the cross border trade deal. That's what they're really working on right now. So let's hope that's come true. And if that come true, we don't need no one. Everyone have to come to us. I'm going to say us as I mean the continent Africa, to get whatever they want, because again, Africa has everything the world needs. Let's continue.
Automatically, Africa has experienced the largest embassy construction boom ever since 2010. Foreign military presence is also growing. Djibouti has a U.S. Naval Expeditionary Base that conducts operations in the Horn of Africa and beyond. Many other nations have also established military bases in the country, including France, the former colonial power, Italy, China, and Japan. The French military base in Djibouti is also hosting troops from Germany and Spain. The Sahel region's fight against violent extremism is receiving technological and military support from the United States and France. Russia has signed 19 military deals with African states since 2014, and South Africa is currently hosting joint naval exercises with Russia and China, something that has unsettled Pretoria's Western allies. But experts are urging the continent to focus on partnerships with the potential of giving a great deal of exposure now to Africans. They point at China's win-win approach when it comes to infrastructural and social-economic engagements.
Africa is...
Here you go. So you see, every country is rushing to build embassies in Africa and put in military bases, like you said, Japan, Spain. He named them Japan, Spain, France. But actually, France just recently got put out of Mali. The president just run them out of Mali, tell them, we don't want y'all here, get out, and they're packed to leave. And I think 2 more countries in that side of the world is putting the French out, so they don't want them there. So that's, you see, that's why everyone is trying to hold on to Africa, but because Africa, we want partners. We don't need you to come and take over the world. We need partners. That's why China and Russia is so welcome, because China is building out Africa infrastructure on a broad scale, because they invest about $300 billion in Africa. But America is trying to put a spoke in the wheel by saying China is giving dead trust, but it's untrue, right? Yes, they have a few times the Chinese try to trap certain people, but that's greedy people, that's corrupt people. They do that too. But presidents who actually want to help the country and the continent they have great deals because things Somali, I think, just have a $8 billion investment. Ghana had infrastructure railway investment recently too, billions. So it's happening, and Russia as well is, as I said, have over 19 bases in Africa since 2014, since 2014. So this is what unsettling America, because they are putting the French out, which are colonial back colonials. Italy and Spain, there was both colonizers as well. America was colonizers as well. So because they are losing their grip and they're getting put out, and Russia and China is being welcome, that's what unsettling them and putting them on edge. Because that's why they are so rushy to build embassies. But as I said, we welcome all of this. We just want these presidents and economists and ministry of the minister of economy, the ministry of economy, and all those ministers read all the contracts, sign all the dotted lines, and make sure we win. There's no more. This is not olden days when you can trick us and put fancy words in contracts. You have to. Africa have brilliant people now to navigate through all of this. So, yeah.
Benefited more than China per se. For the past 10, I would say 15 to 10 years, the Chinese investment has grown very rapidly. Now we understand that's around more than 270 something billion dollars in 2022, which is an enormous amount of resources.
Over the past 2 decades, China has emerged as Africa's most significant and influential development and trade partner. The Asian country's influence on the continent started to increase rapidly in 2000 after the establishment of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, FOCAC. Since then, cooperation forums have been held every 3 years. To emphasize Africa's importance to China, the country's new foreign minister, Jin Gang, started his term with a week-long trip to 5 African countries in January. His predecessors had done so for more than 3 decades and started each year with a trip to Africa. China and the US are competing for influence in Africa, with President Joe Biden making an appeal to African leaders for increased cooperation at a summit in Washington, D.C. in December last year. Enoch Sikolia, CGTN, Nairobi, Kenya.
Yeah, Biden can do all the summits he wants and do all he wants. America already lose their chance, because when they had a chance to help Africa, all they did was send aid to Africa. And that's it. Aid, shots, vaccine, that's all they send to Africa. They don't send no farm money to help build out infrastructure, which is what Africa had needed at the time. So now, because of the explosion of these economies and the help from China, now all of a sudden you want to have summits and talk to leaders and you want to help Africa now, but yet in the back of it you want to punish them and sanction them if they trade with people you don't like for instance Russia or China, or because South Africa did a joint military exercise with Russia and China. You're all up in arms. You're all bent to the shape. That's not your business. Sanction all you want. Your sanctions won't have any much foothold anymore, because the dollar is gonna be very won't be so strong anymore. It's gonna be obsolete soon. It won't be as strong as how it was back in the days. It's gonna be just like our regular money after the BRICS explosion, and East Africa become one currency. Then that again, they're gonna strengthen the money into East Africa, which is we like Rwanda, Somalia, I forget the name of the countries now. Anyway, East Africa. So yes, so that's a plus. I'm so happy about this, and I'm so extra happy about over the weekend the African Union signed a trade agreement. They just iron out the kings. Finally, they come together, because they've been after this for so long. Finally, the iron out the kinks and getting it moving so we can have free trade within the country. So if you watch it until this point, well, that's good. So that's mean you like my content. So share, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to come and check it out, and you don't know how that works, and then boom. So thanks for watching. I learn, you learn, we learn, and the content is growing. So peace, one love, boom bang.